Welcome back to the podcast. We're in the in-between week that for me is a brilliant time, right? Christmas is box ticked. Maybe you've done that alcohol-free and you're feeling incredible. You're looking fabulous and fantastic. You're adorned with all sorts of new gifts after the festive period. And now there's a moment of reflection in full power to really start to think about the next year and the things that you want to achieve in the next year. And this episode is all about why 2026 is going to be your best, greatest, most powerful year ever. Before I get into that, just a reminder that all things dry, if you're interested in going alcohol free, DRYY New is where you can download the app. It's an incredible space of inspiration, learning, collaboration, connection that will inspire you privately away from the glaring eyes of social media to accelerate every avenue of your life by going alcohol free. Check out Dry New wherever you get your apps from. Of course, Authentic Brew, our incredible functional energy drink that is changing the game in the world of wellness, that's alcohol-free, caffeine-free, vegan-friendly. It's good for you and it's good for the planet. 25%, that's incredible, by the way, of net profits go back to rewilding people and places, environmental causes. We're on a mission to grow a great business to do great good in the world. There's no compromise on health. Go to authenticbrew.com to get yours and join the mission. And then finally, Coach Business School. This is where I do most of my best work. I train the next wave of brilliant coaches in positive psychology and coaching psychology so they can go out and create a life of abundance, joy, and contribution. And if you're already a qualified coach as well, I now have a Coach MBA, which is all about marketing and business for coaches. So for both of those, go to coachbusiness.school and check out all the offerings there. Okay, so today's conversation, we are going to talk about why 2026 is going to be your best year ever. And why is that? Well, let's start with the basics. Why don't you, if you're not already, come and join me on this alcohol-free adventure for 2026? There, I said it. Let's set the foundations, the groundations of an incredible life well lived, I believe. And what is 1 year in the bigger scheme of things of that drinking career? It's nothing, right, in the scheme. This is just that opportunity to live a whole year optimally, like with maximum health, maximum consistency, mental clarity, energy, connection, joy, love, laughter. Imagine what that year would look like for you. How will you feel at the end of that year? Imagine on the precipice of 2027 and you've done a year alcohol-free. What do you look like? Who are you with? How do you feel? How are other people talking about you towards the end of that year? What have you achieved and accomplished that maybe you would never normally have achieved because you're on this alcohol-free adventure? These are the incredible questions to start to reflect upon. And I guarantee you this, without exception, it will be, if not your greatest year ever, one of your greatest years ever, if you start with that foundation. Now, I know that's not in everyone's story that listens to this podcast, but why not? Right? I'm completely biased and I own every second of that biasness. I want you to come and live this life and lead it alcohol-free, even if it's just for that longer period of time, a year, and then you can reflect upon your relationship with alcohol, because for all the reasons I mentioned, imagine it's your greatest year ever. And all those people that miss out on their greatest year ever because they're knee-deep in booze and that middle lane relationship with it, whereas you'll be different. And imagine if you learn at the end of that year, that was my greatest year ever, then the next year you just do the same again. And the year after that, and the year after that, why would you ever go back? Right, and imagine making that discovery now as opposed to never, like most people. Imagine making that discovery now and you've got another 5, 10, 20, 15, 30, 40, 50 years of your life to live optimally, more joyfully, more authentically. What a win that would be. So a rally call to you all to join me on this adventure of a lifetime, in my opinion. And on that note, I've just watched the first draft of our documentary called Going Dry, which will be out in spring, and it's a corker. The quality, the inspirational tales, the science, I think is going to wake up so many people to come and join us on the fun side of the island, to live their optimal life, to contribute, to give back, to do work that matters. And I'm so pleased and proud of where that documentary is. That's 3 years in the making at this stage to get it ready to put on a screen somewhere. So keep your eyes and ears peeled. And by the way, do go to goingdrymovie.com. You can watch the trailer just to get excited in advance if you haven't done so already. But back to the point, why is 2026 going to be your greatest year ever? Because we've got that groundation potential for being alcohol free through 2026, or periods of it, or consistent breaks throughout it. And that will do a few things that I want to talk about. Over the last 12, 13 years, I've spent a lot of my time working with some of the greatest athletes in the world, literally, the Premiership footballers, the international footballers, broad brush athletes from business, elite professionals across various different domains. And the key to success in all of these different domains is really simple: consistency over time. And what is the killer of consistency over time? Alcohol. Always has been, always will be. So for me, if you set forth on this adventure with me, you will gain the fundamental building blocks of success: consistency. You'll also gain the next part, which I'll get to in a second, is time. Consistency and time over a long enough period, you can achieve whatever it is you dream of. Most people don't give themselves the time, and they're not consistent. And why is that? Because most people drink alcohol. It's just a fact, right? And I'm owning and I'm leaning into it all day long. That is why people that want to train with me personally, and I've mentioned this before on the podcast, I have a prerequisite: you don't drink whilst you train with me. Because I know they're the groundational skills that are going to help people achieve the goals and dreams that they've always had. Now, when it also comes to this alcohol-free adventure, my mission is a simple one. It's to try and help people create such a vibrant, energized life. Without it, why the hell would they go back? And that's really important, because a lot of people just rip alcohol out of their life and go, I'm missing something, I'm missing it out. That sort of FOMO kicks in, nothing really changes, try to live the exact same life just without alcohol. That for me is a mistake. This is your opportunity to lead the life that you always wanted to lead, to think deeply, reflect deeply, take action, go after those big dreams and goals that have been put on the back burner for the last decade or two. I spoke about this in the last episode. Those rinse, repeat New Year's resolutions that you write out every year, and then you come back the next year and you write the same goals out, and then you come back the next year and write out the same goals. Einstein said it. The definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So if you find yourself writing out the same goals again, right? Lean in to Einstein's brilliant insight. That is the definition of madness. Clearly something's not working. So do something different. And for me, that different thing for many people is to remove alcohol. Now, one of the optimal goals that you can ever tackle in my life is the same goal that I keep going on about, is to remove alcohol. There's a great book called The One Thing by Gary Keller. The One Thing by Gary Keller. Brilliant self-development book. I'll give you the thesis of that book. Essentially is this: focus on one thing and be great at it. And then do the work to find out what is the one thing that you could do that will make everything else in your life either easier or redundant. Now, I would argue people spend their entirety of their life, this whole book is devoted to it, to try and find that one master goal. Well, I'm going to give it to you on a plate. It's to remove alcohol. That is the master goal of all master goals. That is the goal that will give you the most back. If we look at it through the lens of Pareto's law, if you're familiar with Pareto's law, or the 80-20 rule, what it states is that 80% of the gains are usually delivered by 20%. Or another way to look at it is, if you've got a business, often 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your clients. 80% of the output comes from, or vice versa, 20% of the input. So if you can identify effectively those like ground shaking goals that give you the most in return, alcohol or going alcohol free sits in that bracket. It's in that 20% that gives you the 80% back, whereas most people are focusing on the 80% to try and only get 20% back. Most goals focus in the wrong arenas. If you focus on alcohol or going alcohol free, it's in that 20% that's going to give you the 80% back. All right, I've banged that drum enough. Now, with that in mind, we've got consistency starting to build, and you can achieve anything in your life with enough consistency and time. That is such a fact of life, and it's overlooked by so many people. So when it comes to creating the best year of your life, also dream years into the future. years into the future, if you had 5 years or 10 years, what would you do and start today? Now, the secret to this is not to dream 5 or 10 years into the future and go, oh, I'll get to it next year. That's not the objective. The objective is, what could you achieve in 5 or 10 years if you started consistently today? So you're giving yourself enough time and consistency, you can achieve anything. I've said that about 8 times. I'm saying it again. So when you allow yourself the extra time to dream big, anything and everything is possible. Reflect upon that in your own life. You could completely retrain. You could go back to university, you could go back to school and go all the way through university and end up with a PhD over 10 years. Anything is possible. You might be stuck in a career, in a relationship, whatever it is, telling yourself you can't get out. That is fundamentally untrue. If you give yourself enough time and consistency and you've got that groundation of being alcohol-free, anything is possible. Dream big. This is how we create our best years ever, because then we've got a mission in mind, a purpose, a focus, a true north that is guiding our life force, our energy, producing joy and meaning and purpose and connection and love and laughter. That is the secret to a well-lived life, not feeling stuck all the time, trying to drink your way out of it in the hope that that little dopamine bump of fake joy is going to give you something nourishing and lasting, because it never does, and it just puts you in deficit. So then all the time you're just chasing to try and get back to zero. We've moved on from that. We're going big. And this is why 2026 is going to be your greatest year ever, because now you're going to dream big. You're going to dream about goals that you've never dreamt about before, and you're going to start to achieve them. Every 1,000-mile journey begins with a single step. What are the single steps you can take towards those life-shaking, changing dreams? I mentioned about BHAG goals on my last episode, so here's mine. It's only fair that I share them. I have an infographic that I put on the wall, and I've done so for the last 7 years, and I've stared down that infographic and I've burnt it into my brain, and almost every single massive goal on there has come true. It's not a fluke. It's skillful use of your brilliant brains. When you switch your brain onto the things you want to achieve, it shows you the people, places, resources you need to achieve those things. But then you have to take action. You know, if there's one thing I'd say I'm good at, is taking action. Taking action in the face of the fact that I know I'm going to fail more times than I succeed. But eventually you learn through that process, right? Because ultimately there is no such thing as failure. There's only learning. But action is key, right? Otherwise it's just mental gymnastics in your head that goes nowhere, right? And there's a lot of keyboard warriors that talk a great game but never ever do anything. It's about taking action. So when it comes to your brilliant and beautiful brain, and we're looking into 2026 now, I think it's really important to train it. So my big, hairy, audacious goals for the next 5 years, there's 2 that I want to cover off. And goal number 1 is to inspire 10 million people to transform their relationship with alcohol. The original target was 1 million. We've achieved that. Let's go for 10 million, because 10 million to the power of 10 is 100 million. And to the power of 10, what I mean by that is I think every single person that goes alcohol-free has a positive impact on 10 people in their immediate circle, as it were. So that's 100 million people. That's worth devoting time, energy, and life force to. The second big, hairy, audacious goal is to grow a huge foundation through Authentic Brew, our drink, that does incredible good in the world. So if we can grow a business, billion-dollar unicorn-style business that really is a business to no compromise bring health and wellness in a can to people instead of the usual rubbish, but also is really skillful because 25% of all net profits go to rewilding people and places, that foundation, that fund, will do unbelievable good in the world. So I'm not interested in trying to grow a big super duper business for the sake of it, but I am interested in trying to grow a big super duper business that feeds a foundation with serious income potentially that allows us to do lots and lots of good in the world. So they're my 2 goals. That's the focus. They'll go on my infographic eventually on the wall. When I exercise of a morning, I write them out and I'm burning them into my soul. I'm looking at them every single day. How can I achieve those goals? What do I need to see? What do I need to hear? What do I need to read? What do I need to write? Who do I need to meet to achieve those goals? And I'm burning them in every single day. And I'll keep doing that and keep doing that. And it'd be interesting to come back and listen to this podcast in 5 years' time and see how close we got. But if the last 5 years are anything to go by, it's worked. So why not? This is the point. Who says you can't? Who says that I can't? No one, right? The only person preventing you or I from achieving these goals is you or I. Simple as that. Most people tell themselves stories they can't achieve, they can't do these things, but it's just obstacles to the mind. It's all just made up. If it's in the future, none of us know the result yet. So none of us know whether that will come true or not. But what I do know is a great truth: if I take action in the present moment, there's a much higher chance of that happening than if it just stays in my mind or I talk about it as a keyboard warrior and never take action. This is the key. It's so simple when you see it for what it is. So why not set massive goals? Goals about transforming careers, transforming relationships, changing lives. And by the way, one of the greatest gifts you can ever give anyone ever is your authentic self. And if that's where it begins and ends, what a gift to the world. You showing up as a good person, as an authentic person in your family network, in your career, in your community. What a gift that is to the world. And if it spills over into more people because you decide to do something with your short and precious life that contributes, that adds value, what an even bigger gift to the world. So if we can start with the foundation of you being a good, authentic person, what a gift. So with those big, hairy, audacious goals in mind, here's why 2026 is going to be your best year. Because now you've got consistency. You've got focus, maybe in a way you've never had focus before. You've got more time maybe than you've ever had before. You've got clarity of mind. You've got peace. You've got space again inside your beautiful brain because it's not tying you up in knots all the time about one drink, two drink, taxi moment, who's driving the car kind of moment, what time's the bar open, look at the size of that queue that the bar is going to take me 8 hours to get a drink kind of nonsense and noise, and then the shame and regret the day after and things you said, the white lies, all of that gone. That gives you your brain back to do good stuff with. That is why 2026 is going to be your greatest year ever if you stick with me on this little adventure of ours. Coupled with that, this is the secret. Your ambition will come bouncing back. Your ambition to do things, your ambition to contribute, your ambition to create, your ambition to add value to this life, this planet of ours, to do things that will leave this planet in better shape for your kids or their kids, or whatever it is in terms of your setup. It just comes back naturally because it was always there, but actually alcohol suppresses it. It's like kryptonite in your backpack of life. It keeps you small. It keeps you locked in weak decisions, in my opinion. But when you remove it for long enough and you switch your brain on to some of these bigger ideas, objectives and goals, suddenly that ambition bounces back to go and do things. That's why we see so many brilliant entrepreneurs, coaches, thought leaders, people thinking differently, acting differently, all over the alcohol-free space, because of that ambition to come back. And as a nice concept that I just picked up on through the Rich Roll podcast, and it was around moral ambition, the ambition just to do good in the world. We need more people using their life force to do good things in the world, and I think the alcohol-free movement is like the real foundation of that in many ways. The spin-off from it is incredible for the amount of people going out into the world and doing good things, not just in the alcohol-free space, but more broadly, because of the clarity that they've found through going alcohol-free, the headspace, the consistency, the focus, all the things that I've mentioned, that gives you the ambition to go and make a difference. What a gift. And then finally, the community. I think community is so important, to surround yourself with people that share your values, that want to make a difference to this short and precious life of ours, this planet of ours, whatever that looks like, whatever shape or form. And again, that could be just simply being part of a community, like Dry, for example, which is a brilliant online alcohol-free space. But there are many brilliant alcohol-free online spaces. But just to show up in those spaces and contribute and leave a message or a post or a comment on someone else's, to give back. Because here's the secret, and this is one of the secrets to making 2026 your greatest year ever. Meaning and purpose is found in contribution, in giving back to others, being in service of others. And very often we're stifled in our ways to fuel our value and our meaning and our purpose of contribution and giving back. Whereas the alcohol-free space is abundant with it. You can join any community, go in there and drop a post in. or go out on social media, drop a post. That's giving back. There's a sense of fulfillment and meaning and purpose in that. What a gift. It's a ready-made platform to create meaning and purpose in your life that maybe didn't exist before. Go and give back. Go and contribute. Go and like, comment, post, share. Even if you're not that kind of person, get outside of your comfort zone and make the effort to comment, to contribute, to like, to be a part of something that makes a difference to someone's life. And then you'll get the greatest buzz ever. And all our coaches get this, and I get this all the time. When someone reaches out to you and says, in 2026, it's going to happen to you, something you said or did or coached or book you wrote or podcast or conversation, act of kindness has made a fundamental difference to their life and the life of their loved ones. That, for me, is the greatest buzz on earth. And I think that's fueled human meaning and purpose since the beginning of time. And we can tap into that. And what a wonderful thing to tap into, to devote your life force to trying to do good. And again, that could be you just being a good person in your family network, around your colleagues, around your local community. Or it could be much bigger than that. Either way, it's a beautiful win for this planet of ours. And that is why 2026 is going to be your best year ever. If you are with me on this adventure, I'd love to know. Make sure you drop us a note, team@andyramage.com. If there's anything in particular you'd like to hear about or hear from on our podcast as we step into 2026, do let me know. My mission for this podcast, in between our guest interviews, is to share these type of insights, more around self-development, but also then for the podcast to do those interviews in person, as I love connecting with people in the real world. So again, please do let us know if there's any interesting people that might make a great guest for the podcast. We'd love to hear from them, and hopefully I'll hear from many of you and get to know you over the period of 2026. And don't forget, if you do want to start that adventure, coaching is a brilliant way to begin. It's the adventure that really happened to me before I even went alcohol free some 14 years ago. I am running more courses in January. If you want to come and join me, go to coachbusiness.school. It's the greatest self-development course you'll ever take. And if you're already a coach, come and learn about business from me so you can get out and magnify your impact on the world. That's ultimately what it's about. Thank you, as always, for joining me throughout 2025. I'm super excited about 2026 because it's going to be your greatest year ever. Do come and find me on the social medias, Andy Ramage Official, Facebook, Instagram, and also on LinkedIn. Keep rocking it on this alcohol-free adventure. If you're with me, let's make 2026 an absolute cracker. Until next time, your coach, Andy.